Welcome to Sisters in Suffering.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Cabbage. Oh god, my tooth fell out of my mouth.
Oh, there we go.
So, for those of you who are listening, this is our Halloween special.
If you couldn't tell.
If you couldn't tell. And I have vampire teeth glued in my mouth. Yeah. Not glued, but I was going to be a vampire for Halloween.
Yeah.
And it's fitting because this is the Halloween special where we talk about Twilight. But now, both of my vampire teeth fell out, so...
Wait, are you actually going to be a vampire this Halloween?
I was, but then I decided against that. And now I'm going to be a very obscure comic book character. So.
I'll be on an airplane for Halloween.
Fun. So that shirt, get into it.
I also was going to have a Twilight shirt, but it didn't come in time, and so we opted for...
Well, and I think we need to talk about what
is going on
here.
What
cursed energy was preventing us from getting a Twilight shirt, because I ordered a shirt off Etsy. I decided that I didn't like the design, so that one was on me, and I canceled that. And then I tried to order another one. That shop closed down. So then I tried to order another one, and it wouldn't have shown up on time.
Yeah.
So I had to acquiesce and got just like the classic t-shirt.
Maybe like the Twilight commerce industry is dying off slowly.
Big Twilight is trying to silence us.
Big Twilight doesn't want us to unleash what we're about to talk about.
Oh, I have been frothing at the mouth for this episode.
Yeah.
And just apologies in advance because we don't know our audio situation until after the fact. And when the two of us get excited, we just like scream. So, yes, apologies for any kind of very loud
eardrum bleeding.
Yes.
Actually, I don't take responsibility for that. Legally.
Yeah, neither one of us is responsible for any audio sustained injuries. But anyway, frothing at the mouth, super excited for this episode. Yeah. I mean, I love Twilight. What can I say? I love Twilight. It's just one of those, like, cult classic fall Halloween movies. Well, not Halloween, I guess. But, I mean, Breaking Dawn Part 1 is a horror movie.
I will say, season-wise, Twilight is what I will watch on cable, or just, like, in general. If I'm on cable television, you know, and Twilight is on, I'm watching that shit between October 1st and Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
After Thanksgiving to Christmas, Harry Potter series.
Okay.
That's my go-to mix.
Yeah. It's my comfort movie. I feel like when I get a random urge to watch Twilight, I'm just going to act on it.
In the pandemic, like when I like height of the pandemic, when everybody was like sheltering in place and it was like really scary and confusing, the way I every single night would put on a Twilight movie, it was Twilight, Harry Potter, and the Pirates of the Caribbean. Every night I was watching one of those to comfort myself to sleep as the world was falling apart.
Self-soothe as James slams Bella into the ground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just the screaming and the
blood,
destruction.
the gore.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Renesmee getting ripped out of Bella, and you're just like sleeping soundly. Yeah. So I guess going into that,
we're not going to address that.
No.
I will say, though, I think I want to wear these every episode going forward because I no longer have this, like, weird thing of, like, where do I look? You don't know where I'm looking. I feel more comfortable in my skin now than I ever have.
You ever see the movie Big Daddy?
Is that where...
I really hope that that's what that movie is called.
Is that what the one where one of the Sprouses is in there?
Yes.
Okay, I think so.
The scene where he puts on the sunglasses and suddenly... like, he thinks that other people can't see him.
That's me.
Yes.
Can't see me.
Those are the vibes.
Well, I don't know. I feel like you can see me, but I'm enjoying this image that I'm putting out more.
Yeah, it's edgy.
I can't see you, though, because I'm inside.
You can't see anything. So what's your personal history with the Twilight Saga? Like, were you, did you go to the theaters to watch the movies? Did you buy the books? Did you read the books?
I'm about to piss off so many people right now.
You didn't read the books?
I did not read the books.
Well, not the worst thing.
I think,
Let me tell you.
Because the book part of it was really, like, the books and everything were popular when I was, like, I was at a fucking 3rd grade reading level. Like, I was not reading Twilight. I was a bit young. But the movies, I was eating those up. Because my sister was older than me, and so she was, like, she read the books, as they, like, had come out and everything. And, yeah, I don't know. I was in theaters. The one that I remember watching in theaters where I was like, this is like glory, was Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2. I went in theater for both of those, and I am so glad that I did, because being in a theater with everybody else and like gasping together at like, the parts.
Yeah.
Like that was really bonding.
Yeah. A formative experience for sure. I think I saw Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2 in theaters, but I don't remember. I have a distinct memory of going to Walmart to buy Breaking Dawn Part for like $13 or $14. This was pre-inflation.
That was expensive though.
But I was so excited. I was so ready to learn what happens next in the story. And
wait, so you were reading them like as they were coming out? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's crazy.
But like,
I would not have liked waiting.
When Breaking Dawn came out, because I'm pretty sure, like, I had read Eclipse, and at that point in time, it was still, like, I would have to look to see, like, when they were released. I think, well, I didn't read them, like, when they first came out.
Okay.
But
as they were.
I think up till Eclipse, and then Breaking Dawn hadn't come out yet.
When did Twilight come out in 2008?
The movie, yeah.
Okay, I definitely didn't see that one in theaters, because I was 6.
Let me see
terrifying.
When the Twilight books were released.
How old is Robert Pattinson?
He was 21 in the first movie. Mm-hmm. This was 2008. He's like in his 30s. Okay, so the first Twilight book was 2005. Why can't I ever get a straight answer when I ask a question on Google? When
the
did
AI
the books come out?
The AI feature is like, here's what we found. And it's like, can you just say
Can you just please give me the dates? So Twilight 2005, New Moon 2006, Eclipse 2007, Breaking Dawn 2008. It's not really adding up with my lore.
These were the movies?
These are the books.
The books.
2008. Well, no, I guess that does line up. Because I wanted to finish reading the books, and then I had seen the movie. Okay.
That makes sense.
All of that to say, it's part of our childhood.
Yeah.
It's part of our adolescence.
Yeah. It shaped me.
Oh, it's shaped me. Oh, it's shaped me all right. I'm so glad that Twilight has had a resurgence in popular culture because, at the time, there was a lot of flack because, teenage girls liking things was a problem.
Yeah, literally anything.
I'm glad that, now it's like, just like a lovable character.
It's a staple. It's a household name.
It is a household name. And I think we should just get right into the meat and potatoes of it all because
wow, you added a lot more bullet points.
Holy shit. Like I told you, frothing at the mouth, I have so much to say.
Okay, let's get started.
One of the things that I found out that apparently the first movie was filmed in 2 months, which is like a lot to cram into 2 months.
Yeah, that's wasn't Taylor Lautner, like, he was still a minor when he started, wasn't he? He was young.
Maybe. Kristen Stewart was. She was 17 in the first movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't know that. I think then definitely Taylor Lautner was a little bit younger too which is crazy to think about because are you legally allowed to work that much in high school? No.
I think so. Well,
I was ready to sue my employer for keeping me until like after 10 p.m. Wait, that's so crazy to think about. In 2 months.
I don't know if she was homeschooled. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Or just not.
She just didn't go to school.
Well, I mean, when you're filming Twilight, the blockbuster.
What I wouldn't give to be in Twilight.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
To be immortalized.
in that iconic blue filter movie. I mean, I truly believe that Twilight, the first movie, is cinema. And I don't even mean that, like, I mean that unironically.
Yes,
like,
yes.
I do believe that Twilight, the original film, is cinema. Everything about it, the indie vibes,
Yes.
the blue filter.
I want that blue filter over my entire life.
Yeah.
Like,
Just, like, the way it was filmed, it just had such a, like a raw, sort of gritty, cheap, like, low budget, but still really
in such
good.
an artistic and, like, beautiful way.
The
Poetic.
vision was realized. I feel like it's also, like, the most true to form out of all of the movies.
Yes.
Because we'll get into it, but then, like, I
As we
think
progress. Just,
downhill.
yeah.
And it's always funny.
As the budget increased.
It's always funny how that works, where
Yeah.
once things pop off and you get, like, the big studios coming in and, like, all the millions of dollars for budget, all of a sudden it just goes downhill.
Screw the supply and demand chart. I'm not even... Right? Screw that chart. It's movie budget and movie quality.
Yeah. The only exception was the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
The Hunger Games is the one exception that I could think to that, but we're not talking about the Hunger Games.
Yeah, we're getting into...
We're going to get into that at another point in time.
At some point.
The thing that just every time I rewatch Twilight always stands out to me is how fucking crazy Edward's eyebrows are. They really
Interesting.
gave him those, like, Nintendo Me Sharpie brows, those block
Yes.
brows. And
Edward is the one that started the, like, 2016 trend of, like, the thick...
yeah, he was the original Instabaddie.
Yeah.
Because those eyebrows just leave me scratching my head. And also, why did they do his hair like that? He looks like Michael Myers. His hair's just, like, sticking
the
up all
hair.
over the place.
I kind of liked the hair. It was...
No.
It gave.
It gave something, but not what we thought that it should. The wigs in this franchise make me want to rip my hair out. Follicle by follicle.
Rosalie's is the one that I was like, I don't like that.
Terrible.
But Kristen Stewart had some really good wigs.
I wouldn't say that they were really good. They were okay in comparison
Yeah.
to everybody else. Lautner's wig. The fucking long-haired wig that they gave him. Oh my god.
I ate that up.
I know, I did too. I was living for it.
Did
but-
you know that they were putting Edward in, like, lipstick each, like, a different lipstick each movie?
Really?
Yeah, so I think, like, the first one was, like, it was always sort of, like, a burnt brown type of lipstick, but, like, if you watch the movies, the color change in his lips is drastic.
Well, the color changing in his lips and also in the hair. Like, why did they make them so yellow blonde? Like,
Yeah.
Carlisle, Rosalie.
Oh god, Carlisle's hair.
Like, it was giving corn. Like, corn yellow hair.
The one thing I did notice, Esme, her, like, there was a lot of continuity in certain characters. Like, Alice, for example, very, like, her vibe was always the same, which I feel like makes sense, especially when you're talking about vampires that are supposed to, like, if I was a vampire, I would never look the same. I would just spend eternity experimenting with my style. So I understand that. But, like, I don't know, this idea of, like, a vampire being, like, preserved and, like, whatever, I feel like having a continuity in style and hair, at the very least, would be, like, called for. And Esme just had a different vibe every single movie, which I kind of loved. She looked hot in all of them. But.
She did. And I wonder how that works, too, if we're really leaning into the vampire, you know, DNA of it all. Because, like, if you dye your hair, will you still get your roots showing through as a vampire? Alternatively, if you cut your hair, will it grow back?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a scientist. This is Stephanie Myers. Has, like, either in, like, one of the illustrated guides or, like, somewhere, whether it was in talking or I think it was in writing, I think it might have been in the books, explained that, like, the transition from, like, human to vampire, that the vampire venom attacks melanin. And that's why the vampires are so pale. And like the directors of the movies like saw the book, saw the very problematic like areas, and I think that like the super outrageous ones, like they were like, Stephanie, we're gonna halt you there. There was a lot of outrageous shit that they let fly though, and that like carried into the movie. But yeah, there's just a lot of questions about her vampires. I don't think they make sense.
They don't, which it is fantasy, so we can give some leeway.
Some slack. However, the other thing, I don't know if you know this, Stephanie Meyer's vampire, is that her name? Stephanie Meyer, yeah.
It is now.
Yeah. Her vampires, they didn't have fangs. They don't have fangs.
Well, yeah.
The venom, apparently, the way that, like, it works is, like, the venom is in their saliva. Okay, my question.
Which, if that's the case, then shouldn't have Bella become a vampire, like,
Because
instantaneously?
your mouth is a mucous membrane. That is passing through. You should have become a vampire from, like, a few different events.
Yeah. Yeah, to say the least. The other thing about their DNA that's really interesting to me is, like, well, I guess this is bringing Jacob into the mix, but like, and we can get back to this later because there's going to be a lot to talk about where Jacob is concerned, but like the fact that he was attracted to Bella because of her egg that would have eventually become Renesmee, like
That's a stretch.
that makes me want to go to the woods and ponder for a very long time. Even is this vampire DNA? Like, maybe that's what we need a spin off of. Like, do they come from a separate planet? Because how are you that, like, hyper intelligent?
Yeah, I need more
to
answers.
Where you're a half vampire, but suddenly you're, like, so much smarter and, like, developed than other like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I also don't really love the vibe of, like, give them superpowers.
Yeah, what's that about? Well, I don't really know if they were superpowers as much as they were just like heightened abilities, at least in the books. Because in the movies, Renesmee was just straight up levitating. Like, she could just fly, and I don't think that is how it really was.
Biblically accurate.
Yeah. She was just fucking levitating herself up in the sky.
Yeah.
Somehow they can all like jump really far and like not break their entire body.
And yet the way you kill them is you like snap them.
Like a little porcelain doll.
Yeah.
Interesting. But
lots of holes.
Lots of plot holes, lots of questions. Apparently, Robert Pattinson crashed the boat in Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Wait, did he really?
I love that.
That's amazing.
I love that fun fact.
That's such good lore.
I just love the vision of them filming him, like, going on that high-speed boat towards the island.
That
and then him
whole scene where they started their like, honeymoon and they're, like, dancing in the streets and then going... the young me was like, this is the epitome of romance. This is what it takes.
The epitome of romance for me, I was like, wait, I want a private island. I want a fucking private island for my honeymoon. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I love that scene too, because they were just like awkwardly just moving through the people dancing and just like not saying anything. The one thing that really bothered me about the acting is like the way that they portrayed them. And I know that at least like starting from the first movie, that was the intention from Robert Pattinson's end. And he talked about how he like had hammed it up even more to make him like super emo and super just like hyper depressed, but then he was told to tone it down. So
can you imagine? Director note.
Which like is objectively hilarious to think about. No, like seeing Robert Pattinson's personality is just really funny. But I don't like Kristen Stewart's portrayal of Bella. I don't think that she did a good job. I think Kristen Stewart is a very talented actress and she's great. I just don't like her portrayal in Twilight because in the books, I mean, Bella, like, look, she wasn't the most exciting person in the world, right? But she had a personality. She had some character to her. She would laugh, like, she'd crack jokes. She was just, like, introverted, reserved, kind of like loner vibes. And I think Kristen Stewart's portrayal of her was like so painful, like, in a way that, like, you know, now it's culturally significant. People make memes about it, and it's funny.
Yeah.
I think the choices that were made with the acting from the leads
was
kind
a
of
choice.
It was a choice.
Yeah.
It was a choice, and it made it what it is now. It made it culturally iconic.
Yeah.
However, it was a choice.
I think that's interesting because, like, from my perspective of not having read the books and only having watched the movies, I'm like, that's my Bella. That's all I know. And I agree that it was it's an interesting watch at times, like where you're like, ooh. But also I'm like that I couldn't imagine her any other way.
Well, she didn't really emote much.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that kind of like bugged me because
I feel like the only way I know how to describe their acting in like most of the movies is visceral. Like everything was when there was reactions and when there was emotions to emote, they were visceral. They were like...
That's a good point. That's a good way of putting it because I feel like when she would be anguished or angry...
Oh, you knew.
She was acting.
You knew.
She was acting.
Yeah.
Like her screaming at Jacob, "You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness monster?" That...
That was good.
She put her all into that one. But, you know, I think it's where the acting in the more subtle, like in the subtleties, that could have been worked better, in my opinion. Yeah. In my opinion. Eastern European vampires.
What were their names? Was it Vlad?
Yes.
Was it Vlad and Glad?
Stefan, I think. Can't fucking take them seriously.
I'd also like to bring up that their characters were from Transylvania. Which,
speak on that, Nicole.
As a Romanian that's not technically Romanian because I was born here, I will just say concept of the movie of like these vampires are different, right? They don't have fangs. These ones don't drink blood and they have superpowers and like it's just like. And then you just get the Transylvanian ones, and it's like nobody put any effort into those guys. They were like, no, you'll just be exactly what you are in every other movie.
They were so comically ridiculous. Vladimir and Stefan used to rule the vampire world along with the other Romanian vampires around 1500 years ago. The Volturi overthrew them and destroyed their castle. After the rebellion, it became apparent that Vladimir and Stefan were the only survivors of their coven.
Wait, that's crazy.
They hold a grudge against the Volturi and are willing to do anything for revenge. So they eagerly serve as witnesses in Breaking Dawn, hoping to watch the Volturi fall. Here's the other thing. The thing that kills me is the fucking accents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single time I watch them, I'm like... Who
let this slide? Who was like, yeah.
That's an Eastern European. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's just the overly comical, like overly exaggerated.
Even the outfits are like full on Dracula.
The Volturi were moving against you.
We heard the Volturi were moving against you.
He was trying so hard not to make it Italian. We heard the...
He's like, shit, wait, I have to be Eastern European, not Italian. Why don't you speak on this biblically accurate Carlisle note that you made?
Okay, here is the point that I need to make. I'm going to give some context. I did not read any of like Sarah J. Maas books. But I did hear talks specifically about the one that came out in the movie, It Ends With Us, that, like, in the books, the characters were, like, early 20s, and literally one of them is a surgeon or something. Like, is just this idea of having your characters where, like, these writers are writing it, and the characters are super young, and it just doesn't make any fucking sense. And so, biblically accurate Carlisle is technically 23 years old when he gets turned into a vampire.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Imagine having a forever 23-year-old, a perfectly preserved 23-year-old, and he is a ER doctor. He has a whole family that he's bussing around the country. Like, that just doesn't make sense.
The fact that the citizens of Forks weren't asking more questions.
Who is, yes.
Just
Who is
like,
this 23-year-old who looks like a teenager also raising a bunch of teenagers?
right. And why are they all dating each other?
Yeah.
I think that there should have been more investigation on Charlie's part too.
Yeah.
And like Charlie was suspicious, but I think as it pertains to Bella and Edward's relationship, which rightfully so, because there were a lot of like not knowing the context of what was happening.
Yeah.
Like it was very concerning.
Yeah.
But I think that Charlie should have expanded his web of suspicion further and asked more questions about the Cullen family.
Yeah. And what the hell's going on over there?
What the hell's going on?
I don't know how old Esme was exactly when she was turned. I do know that she was older. I think she was past 25 or at 25. And so I do see a lot of jokes online of like people being like, Esme is the only one with a fully developed adult brain.
Yeah. And it shows.
And it shows.
It shows.
But I do think there's just something to say there about the way like authors, specifically like young adult like novelists, what can have a grown adult as a character? You know?
I will never understand that either.
Yeah, they
'Cause,
don't
like,
have to be.
They don't
under
have
the
to
age
be
of 25.
teenagers.
Yeah.
I don't even want to see teenager stories play out.
No.
I want to see stories about people in their late 20s and early 30s.
Yeah.
What is wrong with that?
Yeah. So that was my thing that I had an issue with, because I was just like, this man is raising a family. He is okay. Them dating each other, that would not fly for a fully developed adult dad. I don't
Yeah.
think he would be like, ah. I also wonder. That's what he would say. I also wonder though, why couldn't they just like have pretended not to be dating at school?
Right,
Like,
why did they need to date? But I think that would have been even weirder, because if they were pretending to be brother and sister and then like later they got caught making out, that would be a whole separate thing.
If you're not getting caught killing animals in the middle of, like, just go make out in the woods. You live in a secluded area. Just keep it at home.
These are the
Keep
questions.
it in the family. These are the questions that will keep me up at night. Because I'm like, it's just so weird that they were doing that at school. And why were none of the teachers, the principal even, like, why was nobody saying, hey, you are legally siblings? This is weird.
Well, I don't know if they could do that because it's not their business. Well, but then if CPS got involved in the Twilight saga,
If there was CPS in Twilight, they would have been called.
some questions.
Not to mention the
ask.
117-year-old dating a high school girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I just think that their whole family lore is so interesting. Where like
Yeah, I wish there was more of it in the films.
there is a YouTube series where they did like mini spin-off stories
Ooh.
of each of the individual characters. Not like officially sanctioned by Summit or anything like that, but it talked about like Alice's backstory and Rosalie's and kind of like gave more historical context. And Alice used to be in a psych ward. Mm-hmm. And I think Aro was trying to get her out of the ward.
Before she was a vampire?
Because of her abilities.
Oh.
Because she was put in the psych ward by her father, I think, for her like visions.
Yes. See, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Shoot, what is that? Clairvoyance?
clairvoyance, yeah.
Yeah.
And Aro was trying to scoop her up. But someone at the asylum like helped her escape.
I heard that it was James. That James turned her or something.
Wait.
And that's why in Twilight, when there's like this moment where they let Alice rip his head off,
Oh,
and there's like a
maybe
weird
so.
moment in passing between them because they have like a history together, like when she first turned as a vampire. that he was-
Maybe so.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. But yeah, I just think like all of their individual lore is so fascinating. And if not like a series, then maybe, I don't know, like a little animated thing.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that would have been so much more interesting to add into the movies than all.
We get into the real nitty gritty of it all. The whole imprinting thing.
We're getting there. Yeah.
There's nothing that really hasn't been said about this. Well, that whole thing in and of itself, in the books and the movie, I mean, when Jacob asks...
Can I call you Dad? Should I call you Dad
Should
now?
I call you Dad?
Jaw on the floor.
Jaw on the floor, and also if imprinting isn't what you say that it is, why would you call him Dad?
Yeah.
If that's not the intention in the end. And also, would that really have been... Like, let's say Renesmee falls in love with some human boy.
Yeah.
Or, like, falls in love with somebody else.
They didn't even let her...
Do you really think that Jacob would have let that one slide? No.
That's the thing, though. He imprinted on her.
Where's her autonomy?
Yeah.
And this is another thing that we can get into. The fact that all of these fucking men were making decisions on behalf of Bella, like when she was in her pregnancy. And I understand why she called Rosalie, and Rosalie was essentially her bodyguard. Because all these fucking guys were like, you need to get an abortion. And then Edward talking to Jacob, you need to convince her, why don't you impregnate her? And, because that happened in the books.
Wait, what happened?
Edward asking Jacob to impregnate Bella.
A lot of, like, really interesting undertones, and I have seen discussions where people are, like, talking about the Mormon undertones, which I
There's
think,
many.
like, the male dynamic and the role that the men play in the movie, like, that might be, is probably influenced by that.
Son, when Edward suggested that Jacob be the one to give Bella what she wants in the form of a baby, he explained how he wanted Jacob to help him convince Bella to abort the baby so that she can eventually become pregnant with Jacob's baby. Even though he was slightly intrigued by the idea, he knew that Bella would never go for it. He made a deal that Jacob will at least try to convince Bella to go along with his plan. However, in the likely event she wants to keep the baby and ends up dying from it, Edward agreed to allow Jacob to kill him. So
You could just tell that these were decisions being made by 17-year-old boys.
well, that, and also that these were active choices that Stephanie Meyer was writing down and being like, wait, that's good. We should put that in there.
Oh man, that's crazy.
I hate that. Like, I hate
I don't
that.
like that vibe at all.
For so many different reasons, but the fact that they were just like making decisions on behalf of Bella and what she wanted, like, that didn't matter.
The lack of agency that women have in the series is like...
Well, and even like taking this fucking insane thing out of the equation, the way that Edward treated her throughout the series too,
not nice.
Just like
Emotionally
treating her
toxic.
like she's so fragile and delicate and so breakable,
Oh my
and
God,
like
I hate that.
keeping things from her so that her fragile little mind wouldn't shatter. It's just like so gross.
Yeah.
She's perfectly capable of her own decisions. And also, the moment she becomes a vampire, all of a sudden that's okay. Because they're like on the same playing field now.
Yeah.
But when she was a human, he like had to be the protector or whatever. It's just so stupid.
Yeah. I've seen this all over like Instagram as well, where people like sometimes talk about it. But like, okay, there's a point, I believe, in Breaking Dawn where when the wolves are like revealed to the Volturi, oh my God, we have to like kill them, they're werewolves, and then there's like a passing comment where I think Aros says like, but they're not werewolves. And like that makes sense, because if you look at like a werewolf from literature and like other whatever, what they look like, it's like
half man,
half wolf, and they're
shapeshifters.
right. So that's like what the wolves in Twilight are. Is they're not like they're not werewolves. Was that like a well-known fact? I don't know. I spent my whole life being like, oh, they're werewolves, but they're
That's what I thought. Did they ever say werewolf in the
No.
movie?
They are just wolves. I've also seen that like the wolf gene, you only turn into a wolf and get like that weird puberty thing where instead of going through puberty you become a wolf. I was seeing some conversations where they're saying that, like, that only happens when there are vampires in town, when there are like vampires in proximity, because like I'm assuming the human to wolf transition happened, right? If you look at like the lore, it was like because a vampire attacked the tribe. And that's why Jacob's dad and like that like generation, they never became wolves.
Interesting.
Jacob's generation, so like the younger ones, they're the only ones that were wolves.
But why is that?
Because the Cullens moved.
Oh, they moved away
Into-
from Forks.
They weren't in Forks for a couple of generations, and then when they came back, all of the young boys started turning into wolves.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess that checks out.
It's an interesting concept, but I was like, they're not werewolves.
They're
So.
not. Did we just like Mandela affect that?
Right,
for
that they're
ourselves?
werewolves.
That they're werewolves?
Yeah.
Weird. I think because they're wolves, just like made that association of a werewolf. The scene in Breaking Dawn where he's like, I'm Jacob Black, son of a chief.
I repressed that. I didn't. Oh my god, wait, that's such a...
I don't think that these actors were paid enough for the level of ridiculous writing that they had to convey with the utmost seriousness.
God, that was a really rough scene.
I'm the grandson of a chief!
The voice changed too. Oh man.
It kills me. It kills me.
I completely repressed that like scene. That's so true.
I'm so deeply appreciative for the actors, because I get the feeling that they were like, okay, this is the last movie, this is the last nonsense bit that we're gonna have to put up with, so let's just give it our all. And
they ate.
Jacob, or Taylor Lautner, leaned into it. Kristen Stewart leaned into it.
Yeah.
Just like that scene never fails to get me.
I also read somewhere that they wanted to replace Taylor Lautner after the first one
Yeah.
because he wasn't thick enough. Was that the reason?
Well, because he wasn't like muscular
Right,
enough.
because the puberty change was supposed to turn him into like a full-fledged like...
Full muscle man.
Yeah. Okay, which is so sad to me. And then he said that he like went crazy in the gym and like it created
He gained 30 pounds of muscle.
That's crazy.
He was like, what, like 19
Oh my god.
or something? That's insane.
That industry is crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I can't picture anyone else being Jacob.
I know, it
'cause-
would have ruined everything. It would have been awful. I hate it when like in a series or in a movie or like anything, like the characters get like swapped. So you're like, people notice.
Victoria, Bryce Dallas Howard being Victoria for the rest of the movies. Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah.
I noticed. I didn't. Not a fan.
Have
Not
you
a fan.
seen the cutout scenes of Victoria?
I don't think so.
Oh my god. There's like one where she like kidnaps a couple and she's like in the car and she's driving and the woman wakes up in the passenger seat and Victoria's just like, I love James. I loved him for so long. I loved him for so long. Like, we would play hide and seek. And like she's just like saying the most like weird, like perverted shit about James, and this like woman is like, oh my god, my husband's dead. It's like a really uncomfortable scene. Like it's so uncomfortable to watch.
Ooh.
It's really bad. I like her when she doesn't talk.
Yeah. Was this
That's such a horrible thing to say.
in this context? Is this Bryce Dallas Howard Victoria, or is this the previous actress?
No, it had to be Bryce Dallas Howard because it's like it's after James is like killed and everything. It's like her revenge. Like it's her.
The reason why I didn't like her as Victoria is because her acting was so like comedic villain type of energy.
Yeah, I get that.
Where I feel like the first actress really had that sort of like underlying like menacing vibe to her.
Uh-huh.
Like beautiful, but you could tell like
Yeah, it was
She's-
more subtle.
yeah. And Bryce Dallas Howard was just like cartoony about it. Like she was just like
There's also a scene
silly.
of a deleted scene of James and Victoria like making out in front of Laurent.
I think I have seen that one.
Just like
He's just like he's that meme of Edward Pattinson. Robert Pattinson in the tracksuit in the kitchen, like
yes, that literally.
yeah. Edward Pattinson.
I love that.
Laurent was my favorite.
Yeah, I like Laurent too.
Mm-hmm.
And we wouldn't have had Laurent if Stephanie Myers was in charge.
No, we wouldn't have.
He's a great character.
No, we wouldn't have. And you know, is it a shame that he didn't end Bella right then and there?
It would have been interesting.
It would have. I mean, I think that movies need to get more bold with killing off main characters.
You know what else? Okay, this is completely different. This is related to Laurent because he dates one of them. The blonde cousins. Those gorgeous blonde cousins.
The Denali
Oh my
coven.
god, I loved them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Kate was her name.
Uh-huh.
With the shocking
Oh, yeah.
electric powers.
She's hot.
She's...
I'm no better than a man.
Yeah. Oh my god, on my knees for you, queen. They had to just like make some kind of weird romance with that grungy,
Oh my god, that guy.
strange man.
That lived in the attic while he was there.
No, not him.
Oh.
The Patriot, the former...
Yeah, he like lived in the... Wasn't he the one that lived in the attic?
No, that was the blonde one. I don't know what his name is. I don't even know why he was there.
Fuck was in the attic. Do you remember they like had to kick out like the Irish ones because they tried to drink human blood? They couldn't be on their diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said get the fuck out.
Anna and Zafrina.
The Amazonian vampires. Choices were made.
Her powers was that she can make you see what she wants you to.
See.
So one of the things that
She showed Edward or whatever.
Like
was that he was in the jungle.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a choice for sure. Pondering all of these very interesting vampire powers. Rami Malek having the
Rami Malek.
fucking avatar powers. He is the hottest
By far.
by far.
And the way he's like playing with like the dirt and like lifting shit up for like Renesmee. I was like, and he's good with children. Oh my god.
So charming, so kind,
So talented.
so talented. I mean, was that his dad that Carlisle was talking to? Who was that man?
Yeah, who was the man and like the man's wife? Like they were just like very protective of him. I don't know if that was his dad. I think that was just his like vampire buddy who like. I think that was his Carlisle.
Right. His Carlisle had him like locked away,
Yes.
like not allowing him to interact with other vampires. That's
Let
crazy.
him date. Let him.
Let him out.
Let him
Why
out.
are you locking him away like some kind of?
Who the fuck was in the attic? I need to know now.
He was that nomadic vampire, the blonde
I
one.
thought
with
that was the grungy one.
No, the grungy one was going after Kate.
Yes, but he didn't stay in the attic.
Oh, he didn't stay in the attic.
Damn.
What? Now I have to know.
Who stayed in the attic?
Who was the vampire in the attic?
In-
Alistair.
Is that not the grungy one?
No, that's the one who was in the attic. This guy.
Oh dear. Well, he also looks grungy.
Alistair is a English solitary nomadic vampire and friends of a sort,
Uh-oh, drama.
according to Twilight Saga Wiki. Friends of a sort with Carlisle Cullen. He is gifted with a unique tracking ability that allows him to track animate beings at a greater distance than most vampires can. So he's also like James.
Interesting. Oh yeah, James's whole thing is he like sniffs people out.
Which That really is a slay. Like, the fact that
They should have had Jacob piss on Bella. James never would have found her.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, but the fact that Bella was in Arizona and he went
And smelled her.
I was able to smell her from that far away. I'm sorry.
If Jacob just pissed on Bella, none of this would have
That wouldn't have happened, but also Laurent was so based when he's like, he's got unparalleled senses, absolutely lethal. I've never seen anything like him in my 400 years. Yeah, because that's crazy. How?
Yeah.
They should have, instead of killing him, they should have
Entrapped him.
put him. Have you ever seen You?
Oh yeah, and
They should have put him in the glass box, like Joe Goldberg, and just like I don't know. Were there no vampire scientists? Like, why didn't Carlisle become a scientist so that he can study his kind and like put James in a box and like,
run experiments on him.
Ethic. Like, why wasn't he asking
Are
questions?
there vampire ethics?
Does that come from? Like, are his what was his thing when he was human? Like, did he just have like a really good sense of smell, and then all of a sudden when he became a vampire, he could like track that way? Like, what is that? That's what I want to know.
Well, okay, wait. Then in that same line, how the fuck was Edward Reed? Was he just like very intuitive when he was a human?
I guess so.
Not as a vampire. Clearly, he was really leaning on that. He was really using the mind reading as a crutch because he couldn't even fucking
He couldn't even form a thought
about like he couldn't tell what Bella was feeling. Which, granted, she was very neutral in the movies, but
yeah. But I mean, come on, it wasn't that fucking hard.
yeah, she's just a girl.
She's just a girl. I like how Rosalie's power was just that she was insanely beautiful.
Wait, is that her power?
Yeah. She's just insanely beautiful. And we have to stand. We have to.
I don't love that. They didn't really cover that in them. Wait, what the fuck is Emmett's lore? He was like, I'm pretty sure what I saw is that like,
We got mauled by a bear.
yeah, his power, just big, buff,
Just strong. Very strong.
strong man,
Yeah. Just himbo, strong man.
big muscles.
Yeah. That's his power. Jasper,
Conservative, uber,
Confederate, just
fucking awful.
it just once again just speaks to the choices that were made.
Did you know the actor that played Jasper auditioned for the role of Edward?
And I would have ate that up.
I would have loved that. He's hot.
He's so hot. That scene, oh my god, in the baseball scene where he's like
Every
at
scene.
bat, and then he hits the ball and he's like,
I need to watch it again. Oh, it's so good. He's so hot.
someone please send me a fan edit of that, because
I know. I do love him with Alice, though. Like, I don't
Yes.
see him with anybody else now.
very precious, very cute. He's so fine.
Yeah.
Did you know that they, allegedly, the real life actors had a thing for each other?
Oh, but they never dated?
No, that never fell through.
That's sad.
Yeah. I think that I could be an actor.
No, I would fall in love with him.
I would fall in love left, right, and center. Also, I'm not good at like pretending.
Yeah.
Like,
I just don't know how to talk either, so.
yeah, you'd give me a script and I'd be like, wait a minute, we need to do another take. Hold on.
I'd be like.
Yeah, but
Like.
I mean, like, can you imagine being in the Twilight movie and your cast is Alice, and then you've got this hottie that you have to act
Yeah.
in love with? Oh my god, I'm a lover girl. I'd fold like a pancake. I was going to say maybe we should watch it together, and then I remembered that you're leaving.
Can someone make like a compilation on YouTube of just the scenes with that Jasper in it?
Yeah, a fan edit of just Jasper. Yeah. Want apologies, man.
Oh my god, stop his accent.
The talking out of the side of his mouth. It's just
I loved the, what is that called? Like a 50-yard stare that he always had.
But the battle scars.
Oh, okay, I don't like that. Don't make the don't include that in the compilation.
Oh, I love it.
Oh dear.
I love it. All right, well, we hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yes.
I love debating and talking about this
Series.
silly little franchise.
Love it.
All right,
All right.
we will catch you in the next one.
Stay suffering, sisters.
Bye.